And that's why we allow now RMO to come up and allow Marcus Goff, because these people are some serious criminals among the community, you know. For what Sister Mitzi did, I was explaining when Jaboni and the Millennium Council organized with Snoop Dogg to collect how many $1 million for a simple little video. It's Sister Mitzi, as the chairperson of the Millennium Council, derail all of that and told Snoop Dogg manager, because both of them named Williams, that she could get that video clipping for next to nothing. And she collected 1,000 US and gathered us all.
Greetings, honorable family. This is a public announcement. Jah Consuming Fire, brand new EP out now by Ijahstars, featuring artists like Empress Matiposa out of the VI Virgin Island. This EP is consist of 7 tracks, songs like Life, No Dignity, 360 Degrees, Plea My Cause. This EP is out on all digital download platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, and much more. 360 Degree is blazing. Temperature so high, we are steam and blaze with Charlie Sana Hail Selassie I. Out now, Jah Consuming Fire. Check it out.
No call me no dark, trust me, fool. You know have to rate this.
So,
Continue. Continue.
yeah, I was saying to Ijahstars that I think it would make a good, because he done a few interview with Rastafari the other day. And I was saying to him it would have been good if I and the I and was in the same on the same presentation of the interview, where we could both be interviewed on even on the Millennium Council and certain things, as a Bobo priest and a niyahbinghi warrior who is not at odds with each other, but are in one perfect unity in terms of Rastafari in a sense, you see. Because I was telling him also, 2003, it was I who went to the Congress to invite the Congress to the global reasoning. And what happened when we reached there, when God said, burn God, and that was a big problem. I had to beg the elders up there not to throw us off the hill. And we were yeah, and I also, Bobo Hill is part of the unity, that when I go to Bobo Hill, it's like my place as well, not only because of Sizzler, but, it's just because of Rasta.
Of course.
So, as for the differences, and so we don't dwell on those things. We are
my lad, waste of time that.
So we're saying then we could do an interview together to even recapture some of the facts around the Millennium Council, because a lot of people think that Bobo Greg is the one who represents the Congress in the Millennium Council, and I'm telling them no. Bobo Greg represents Camp David, you see. Yeah.
Well, I could confirm that doing that. I, being diplomatic, put him in the penman portfolio, because when he came into camp and within fulfilling them duties, I had several other duties running in the camp. So I had to find other people for fulfill other portfolios.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you kind of feel in there.
Yeah. He was here there and he had the knowledge and the capability, so I made him function. I presented him to
Yeah.
Jesus and show him that this brethren have certain potential. You see it. So yeah.
Okay. But what happened in the Millennium Council? Why I didn't want to credit let it be credited to the Congress is the fact that I keep telling Bubba Greg that Emmanuel will turn in his rest to see what he did with the movement. Because Emmanuel is the one who taught us repatriation with compensation in Africa. You're not telling me that Prince Emmanuel could have said reparation. You think Prince Emmanuel didn't know of reparation? He could have literally said reparation. But we must be wise because the elder know why he taught us repatriation with compensation in Africa. Because if he had said reparation, as what Bobo Greg came with, then reparation can mean everything in the West except back to Africa. And that is what is going on now. And I
Terminology.
brought up this subject.
Terminology, you call that?
Yeah, terminology is important.
Yeah, the word. The word there. Right.
Words, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why the argument came up because Bobo Greg now came and was complaining about what CARICOM did and what was happening with the university. Now, I know, Priest Brown, that Barbara Blake formulated what was called the reparation committee coming out of the Durban Conference 2001 in Africa here. Now, originally in that proposal, the first 3 points in that proposal, I had those documents. I can't find it now. But number one, it stated that what Barbara Blake and reparation was doing, and Bobo Greg was represented in there, and Sister Mitzi from the Rasta community was part of that committee. What the proposal for that community said that the first thing reparation will do is to repay all the IMF debt. And the second thing it will do, it will rebuild all the governmental institution around and about Jamaica. And the third thing was for Rastas to find out about repatriation. So I'm saying after the first two, there won't be much things left for. So now, when I wrote the letter to the government as the Millennium Council to have an audience with the government as government to government, there was a 7-point agenda that I presented as the secretary after Owie died, because I had to wait till Junior Mannings died, because Junior Mannings was friends with Sid Bartley, and they had their own little organizing going on. When I'm telling Junior Mannings, we need to have a meeting with the government, they would laugh. What do you want to meet government for? So I had to wait till Junior Mannings passed away. Then how he became the chairman, then I now became the secretary. So that's when I wrote the letter to the government to have an audience. And these 7 perspectives, one of them, I think, was intellectual property rights, repatriation, the Judah Coptic Church with the sacrament, the Pinnacle situation, the Carroll Garden, and a couple more that I don't remember at the moment. Now, when that letter reached the government sent back to the Millennium Council that we're supposed to define these subjects. So when I take that communication to the Millennium Council executive, we were each given each subject to write a definition of what to the government. My portion was repatriation. I was given that part. Maxine, intellectual property, other people got other. So I took 3 days, gathered my documents in Judgment Yard, and draft up what was called the repatriation chronology. That is the repatriation document that Bobo Greg have now. I don't remember what he calls it, but that is what comes out of my document. When I draft the chronology of reparation, which was basically outlining from 1838, the emancipation coming off the farm and the 20,000 that was given, which we didn't get. Our intention as a government coming off the plantation was to go back to Africa. You see, that was all it was about. Until 1958, when Prince Emmanuel gathered us with the Sir Clifford, what his name was, and how we was attacked and dispersed. When we gathered 58, it was about back to Africa. Up until 61, when we sent the delegation to the 5 countries, and by the time we come back, 62, independence was forced on us without a referendum, you see. So my document was to outline to the government, this is where we coming from, not as Jamaican citizenship, but as a people who were agitating to go back home to deal with. When I bring that chronology in the Millennium Council, that's when these people, Owie, Maxine, and Greg, they changed the whole document to accommodate Abu Junior reparation movement from way back with Lloyd, which was not so much wrong. But when in the document it specified that the reparation they were looking for was how much trillion. That's when I told the Millennium Council, no, we can't do that. We can't put a price to reparations. So this was when now we was called to Scott's Pass to meet with the elders to tell Bobo Greg and them that we cannot put a price. After that meeting, which is the all mentioned elders, January 9th, January 11, 2009. By the time I go back to Kingston, I was kicked out of the secretary office and Bobo Greg was in. That's how I know it happened. You see? So the reparation document went through. The government decided to and that's when Bobo Greg also brought most of the things that was from the reparation committee into that same document. And the document became a reparation document. Until now, him and Bunway, they went to St. Vincent and got momentum with it. The day when Babsy Grange met in the parliament, I was there when they decided to accept the argument of reparations, because they see where the government could use this as an advantage. So the other day when the radio came out, Kabu was talking about, oh, these university collecting reparations from Glasgow in England and what. So I'm saying, come on. It's the Rastas who made that happen. So when Bobo Greg come another year after complaining about the thing, that's when I said, Bobo Greg, it's because of you. You see? Yeah.
I can understand. I fully see where you're coming from, because the wording is very important there, and this interpreting compensation to be just and put it under the term open the door for the system to come in on us.
Right.
So I see clearly, because you see, we call it diplomatic relationships. Wording is very important. So I can see clearly what you're saying, that the replacement of compensation with reparations.
Right.
It has created that loophole. why the thing is,
Right,
going as it's going right now. We are in the system, and many people
right.
are compensating themselves upon reparations through them diplomatic
Reparations.
circles, but so after the time reparations, they saying is taken for the high upper class, but not for the grassroots.
You see. So this is why we're saying as the agent of the Bobo Congress and I from the Bingi House and the 12 tribe, we were the ones that was operating this Millennium Council. And if it was up to us, we would have done it different. You see. So um 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 it's not because I still forgive the youth because we're not perfect, but you must accept the fact that that's how it went. You see, and that's what caused us to be under this. Because I really take and understand when the Prince Emmanuel said repatriation with compensation in Africa. You see, he even specify in Africa. That means the compensation, we would make sure that we come home. That was all the ancient, the patriarch ancestry was trying to guide. So when we come up now as youth and think we know and do our own thing, that's all I'm saying to these youths and these so-called scholars of intellects. You see, that they should sometimes they should listen to the elders and don't take what the elders say for granted. Because I'm sure Prince Emmanuel could have said reparation. He could have come to us like that. But he
Yeah,
knew
because
ahead of
as
time
I
that
hear that use that word, but Dada is very diplomatic. So when you hear him at that sending out that is compensation, Dada know why he chose that word, and he made sure compensation in Africa.
you see, give thanks, my priest. It's been many years since we've been disconnected. And this is the thing that we share from that time as races, that we could reason up on our fears in a non-partial way, you see, to for the sake. So where we at now, my priest? Even the other day, I miss um, Priest Leo and Priest Kelly, because these are the elders of the Millennium Council that make it stand. But they cannot do it by themselves as the elders. It takes I and I as the scholars to counsel with them, and because that's how we've been structured from day one to how to do things. We consult with the elders, and break things down, even though we might be scholarly and have all these bright ideas. We have to break it down for the elders and present it to them and get their wise mind to guide I and I as youths. So I was never short. I always follow that protocol, you see. I could never think that I'm wiser than the elders before me. In no way whatsoever. Never. You see, that's why when I speak to my elders, I don't use all kinds of big words, or I don't even know those big words because I'm accustomed to speaking with my accents. So when I break down, I have to break down things so that they can overs. I don't come to consult with the intellects. I must consult with my elders. So that is why I speak and how I do and things. So it's really been a long time since I've had this opportunity to really consult with the eye, and even from the 12th tribe, Elder Sangi, and I did mention Priest Leo and Priest Kelly. you know. So I was telling them the reason why also the Millennium Council failed is because they suspend me. And I am the one from the Bingi house who was given the Bingi authority that I could report to the Bingi. I also report to Bubba Hill. I also report to 12 Tribe at their executive meetings. These were part of making the Millennium Council function. So when they suspend me, that's why you see the Bingi House would attack them in at Liberty Hall 2014, 2013. You see, because so they don't understand these things, you know. I'm the one who was gonna hold IFV and all of them in the Bingi house accountable. So without me, it cannot work, man. And that's why we allow now RMO to come up and allow Marcus Goff, because these people are some serious criminals among the community, you know. For what Sister Mitzi did, I was explaining when Jaboni and the Millennium Council organized with Snoop Dogg to collect how many $1 million for a simple little video. It's Sister Mitzi, as the chairperson of the Millennium Council, derail all of that and told Snoop Dogg manager, because both of them named Williams, that she could get that video clipping for next to nothing, and she collected 1,000 US and gathered us all. And you know, you see, so it was a mistake, my priest, and of course during those times, I was, as you said, would have been slighted because you wasn't there when they were had me under suspension. I was never there. I remember Irie Irons was there, and as bad as Irie Irons was at Country Farm when they decided to move me, Irie Irons wasn't in agreement. Irie Irons told me, "Hold your grounds, man," even though you know I couldn't hold up against Maxine, Kremlin, and you know them who wanted me out. You see, so my priest, Sister Maxine, has been doing a lot of things, and they've caused all of our work because we work hard on this all mansion, and they've caused us to like we haven't done anything and set us back the way they take over this thing. So what I've done, my priest, I have reached in Azania. Actually, I was in the what is called the parliament down in the Marcus Garvey community of Western Cape a couple months back there. I was sitting in what we call the parliament where all the elders seated. And I was seated in a corner and I heard the crown prince Jesse came, and he came in. I didn't show up myself, you know. And he came in and he black up a reverence, and when he sit down and look over, he says, "No, Negus, are you that?" He says, "You didn't tell them that is I who put on Sizzler turban." And some bubble was with him. So I kind of asked him, because those bubble, they're supposed to work with us here in formulating what Bongo Time did establish. It was called the RNC, the Rastafari National Council. So since I come here, I revive it into what is called the Rastafari Nation Council. So this is a council now that is supposed to centralize the movement, even here in Azania, as much as they're not much aware of the mission. So I was hoping now with the All Mansion, with Bobo Greg, and we could work now as one, you see? But it seemed like Sister Maxine still have some slighting going on, you know? Because the other day with the Zoom here,
Well,
because imagine we established what is called Rasta Ganja from 26.
Yeah, what presently, what I see taking place is the economic base. Anything with a structure, an economic base for Rastafari here in Jamaica is always attacked and undermined. Because if you remember, the Jamaican government would never to accept the name Rasta Ganja Global. That's why South Africa became more significant in that after the registration.
Smash that subscribe button. See you on the next video. I just start the mindset.